So all today we're going to be talking tariffs, how they're affecting all levels of government on this side of the border. Scott Reid, CTV's political commentator, joins us every Tuesday. Typically we talk about three different issues from three different levels of government, but everything, Scott, is connected to tariffs right now. Let's start federally. We've got the sort of two tranches of planned, retaliations. I'm curious, why doesn't it all happen just today? Why do we need to wait 3 weeks for the second larger amount?
I think there's a variety of reasons for that, and we'll probably hear the Prime Minister speak in more detail. I wonder if one of his announcements today may be that he'll be accelerating the pace of some of those retaliatory tariffs. But some take some time to put into place. As well, I think they want to increase the political pain and pressure on the United States, bring it forward in stages. Look, there's no question. Last night, to be clear, Donald Trump declared war on Canada. He declared an economic and a trade war on Canada. And there have not been tariffs of this size and scale placed on the Canadian economy from the United States since 1930. And we know what happened then. It deepened, worsened, and lengthened the Great Depression. Now, no one hopefully is predicting that. No one hopefully believes that that's where this will end up. But it's also more likely to get worse before it gets better. Next week, Trump says he's going to add tariffs additionally on top of aluminum and steel. Then in April 2nd, there's another round of potential tariffs coming. So he's saying these things will be stacked. So, for example, steel, aluminum, they could be facing tariffs of 50%. The consequences of this on both sides of the border are going to be disastrous, and Canada now has no choice. We have to punch back. We have to stand up to the bully. We have to create some pain, both economically and politically, in order to dissuade Donald Trump from this disastrous course.
But, Scott, some people are going to be watching you and I talking right now and saying, but we did what we could when it came to fentanyl. We had a border czar. We spent $1 billion or more putting more security in place. Turns out fentanyl wasn't it at all.
Let that be a warning to all those who have preached appeasement. Donald Trump's arguments about fentanyl were always a ruse. Of course, we should be fighting fentanyl in the opioid crisis. Of course, we need to maintain security on our borders. But that was a pretense. It's a mechanism that allows him to say there's a national emergency at our border. There is no national emergency between Canada and the United States border. It's the greatest undefended border in the history of civilization. But Trump has decided that this is going to be his economic policy. It will be disastrous. It will take longer for its full effects to be felt in the United States than in Canada. But again, we have almost no choice now but to fight back. Negotiation and discussion have proven fruitless. And here's the more fundamental point, Nick. How can anyone now trust Donald Trump? Yeah. How can you as a business person say, well, you know what, I think I'm going to invest mightily in my operations, when you don't know what Trump will do next? Maybe he'll lift these tariffs. Maybe he'll ease them back. Maybe he'll double them. You cannot rely upon such an irrational and, frankly, such a conscienceless partner in the United States.
Okay, so we've seen the stock markets kind of tanking, business leaders kind of concerned, and investment, that really kills investment. It might turn someone to drink, Scott, but if what you like to drink comes from south of the border, well, in this province, you're not going to be able to get your hands on it. That seems to be one of the key sort of retaliatory tactics from Premier Ford.
We're going to hear from Ford, just as we're going to hear from Justin Trudeau, with a whole raft of measures that will be taken in reaction. So LCBO, don't be looking for your Kentucky bourbon. That's gone. Why? You want to place pressure on those legislators in the GOP, in the Republican Party, so that they feel pain and they reflect that back to the Oval Office and Donald Trump. But then there's going to be other measures. We've heard Premier Ford talking tough about the flow of electricity. Do we cut off our electricity exports to the United States? If we do that, will we think eventually down the road, if Trump doesn't buckle, will we think about placing an export tax on our energy, on our fossil fuels that we export to the United States? Again, it may be, as harmful as that will be to our own cost structure and to our own economy, it may be that the only way to get this guy to listen is to hit him hard right between the eyes.
And that seems to be where the municipalities are coming in, whether it's Brampton's, Canada First yesterday, Toronto looking at how its procurement plans go. I mean, these municipalities do spend a lot of money, and a lot of the money doesn't have to be though, can be spent on U.S. products. That's now being reevaluated.
And this highlights another path in terms of responding to this, which is we're going to start to say we're not buying things from the United States. You're going to see municipalities, as you say, change their procurement policies. You'll see mayors like Olivia Chow, Patrick Brown. They'll recognize that politically it's probably a mistake for them to be seen as purchasing things from the United States, that they might pay a political price. So expect that they're going to react in that way. And, you know, it's a disaster, Nick, because once we start withdrawing into ourselves and saying, you know what, in order to combat them, we're going to deny ourselves access to the U.S. market. Everything will get more expensive. Everything will get tougher. But make no mistake, this is not the fault of our mayors, our premiers, our prime ministers. This is the fault of Donald Trump. This is the position we're in. The only way out of this fire is through the fire, and we're going to have to burn Donald Trump in order to get some relief here in Canada.
Oh boy, and when there's a fire, you typically call 911, and that's where we're going next. Scott Reid, appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing you back here in studio next week. So,
Let's hope.
Yeah.